Good day everyone, welcome to another video here on the AviationPro channel. Welcome to the FlyTampa Amsterdam scenery, a scenery that a lot of people have been waiting for a very long time. Now I kind of said to myself I'm not going to really do reviews anymore on the channel, but for this one I'm going to make an exception. I'm lucky enough to be able to call Amsterdam Schiphol Airport my home base. The home base where I fly from now and to a lot. For my job as a second officer on the Boeing 777 and 787. So I kind of know what the airport looks like, and I've of course visited Schiphol many times as a passenger or for fun. And so yeah, I thought I will just show you around in this review, go through some specifics of Amsterdam Schiphol Airport, and then just show you around so you can form your own opinion. In general, I think this scenery looks really good. Yeah, a lot of people have been waiting for this scenery a long time, and but the project is quite big. There are a lot of people who know even more about the airport, who also work at the airport, that have contributed to the scenery, given feedback to FlyTampa, and it has all come together in today's product. Now, FlyTampa is of course not new to Amsterdam. They've been releasing scenery for Amsterdam for a very long time, also for older simulators and also X-Plane, so they are familiar with the airport. But the airport has seen a lot of changes in the last few years and it's still under construction here and there. So we'll go through some of those specifics, and then also later on, of course, we'll also review some of the things that still need some work. But I'm just going to keep this review light, so we're just going to show you around. So let's just get a little bit of an overview. As you can see, you know, everything in Microsoft Flight Simulator I think looks very realistic. The lighting and just the general feeling of the sim together with a good scenery like this, it's just amazing. And this airport is no different, FlyTampa Amsterdam. As you can see, here's the central part with all the different piers and all the different gates, all the detail that you would expect from a decent scenery in Microsoft Flight Simulator nowadays. You get to see in the simulator. It all looks very nice, very accurate to the real thing. And here's a bit of an overview of the tower. As you can see, the tower is very iconic. I think it's a very nice tower that you can always see when you drive to Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. It's something that really gets to you, and you know that you're going to travel when you see that tower. So it's really nice that they have modeled that very correctly. Maybe one thing that would be nice in this tower is that there's not really any interior, so it looks a bit dull from the outside up close. I know some sceneries put a little bit more effort into you know, also developing the interior of the tower and make the glass see-through, but okay, you know, from a distance it's fine enough. Now, as you can see also from this top-down view, kind of, you can see that Schiphol is very, very big. There's just a lot of taxiways, a lot of tunnels, a lot of piers and gates and different areas. Let's take a look a little bit at Schiphol East. This is where all the hangars of, for example, KLM and Transavia are, where a lot of maintenance takes place. And there's also a little general aviation platform here, the Kilo apron. I'll come back to the specific apron a little bit later. Of course, the cargo areas where a lot of cargo airlines and 747 still park. It's all been included in the simulator, and yeah, quite up to date with the current structure that is actually there at Amsterdam Schiphol Airport nowadays. And here just a little overview of the H pier, where mostly the low-cost airlines park. You can see that right here. And of course, all the way in the west we have the runway 36 left, 18 right, also known as the Polderbaan. And yeah, of course this is an an area you don't really want to go to too much, but it's a runway that's very often used because of noise abatement. So yeah, it's a runway that's of course very far away, a lot of taxiing, but of course it's all included and all really looks very nice. And of course with that also the West Tower. With the same complaint about the main tower, there's not really an interior design here or ability to see the interior, but yeah, that's something that you will be able to live with. So those are kind of the main areas that you will come across when you visit Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. Now overall the texturing is just really well done. It's really, you can see it's based on very current satellite data and up to par with the current layout of the airport, mostly I should say. So yeah, it just all looks very good. Also the gates and the area near the gates, just very true to life, I would say. Proper markings. As you can see here, for example, close-up of runway 24. This is the way it looks like in real life, kind of this different shades of color. It all looks very good and genuine, so again, something that you can just expect from a decent MSFS scenery nowadays. Now, just some specifics that I want to mention that make Amsterdam Schiphol Airport kind of unique is a lot of tunnels under the taxiways. If you ever drive to Schiphol Airport from the south to the north, you will notice that you are crossing some taxiways and airplanes are taxiing over that. It's correctly modeled. I know in older simulators like Pier, this was always a little bit troublesome because Amsterdam Schiphol Airport is below sea level. So scenery developers had a lot of trouble being able to kind of generate a tunnel underneath the sea level under the scenery. But it seems like FlyTampa has managed to do that quite properly here with the tunnels. And some iconic things that you will just see around is, for example, here the Firefly. This is where they practice fire drills with an aircraft is being able to be put on fire. Little details like the spotting place near runway 27 near the McDonald's right here is also very famous. So you can see that while you're landing at runway 27, in the distance you will see a 747 parked. That's relatively new. It's actually supposed to be there. It's a ex-KLM 747 that has been repainted in this Corendon livery, and it's now next to the Corendon Hotel, next to the highway here. So it looks a bit odd, but it's actually there in real life. And of course we have the famous Fokker 100 on top of the panorama terrace at Schiphol Plaza. If you ever visit Schiphol, you can visit this terrace and then also go inside this airplane where there's a tiny little museum and some information about the aircraft. So very true to life, and as you can see there's some nice little detail, for example here at the panorama terrace. And speaking of details, let's take a look a little bit at the interior. Now there's not a lot of interior modeling here at Schiphol Plaza, for example. The main airport building, the main hall, is not modeled from the inside. There's not a lot of detail right here. The interiors of the terminals, or the piers as they are called in Dutch, are modeled a little bit. So if you look inside, you can see some of the interior right here. Fortunately, you cannot look outside from the interior, so we cannot really see your own airplane. But from the outside, from the cockpit, you can definitely see a bit inside. Now I guess this is a bit of a trade-off as well. I mean, it's a very big airport. I guess performance-wise there needs to be a bit of a trade-off between interior versus exterior. I prefer if the exterior is more correct than the interior, but it's kind of nice to be able to see some activity here. But I'll come back to that later in the video, as we mentioned the things that can be improved in the scenery. Now, as I said in the beginning, Schiphol has some new things. One of the major things is the new Taxiway Q back. As you can see, that has kind of changed. It used to be a single taxiway called Taxiway Q back, but now it has been split in two. And as you can see, that has been modeled in the simulator. It's very nice. It hasn't been modeled in some of the other versions of FlyTampa Amsterdam, but now it's finally here, and it's correct according to the chart. So it's very nice to have that. Another thing that's being that's in development still, but it's almost done, is the new Alpha pier. As you can see, it's under construction in the simulator, and that's actually true to real life. This pier is not open yet, not being used. So yeah, it's nice to be able to see that, and hopefully, of course, when the pier does open, there will be an update for the scenery, so we can actually see it open. So yeah, overall I think it's quite an up-to-date scenery. I will mention later a few items that still are a bit old and should get some changes, but overall you will see a very recent version of Amsterdam that is mostly correct according to the charts. Especially the ground markers, I think, are very good. You can really see they have based that on satellite data. For example, here at the Alpha apron, although it's not fully correct, the apron layout, I will mention it later. It is actually, you can very clearly see the different ground markings that are also there in real life. So that is very well done. Now if you look a little bit higher from up altitude, we can kind of see how the airport blends in with the surroundings. I think that's always very important. And as you can see, that's no problem. Of course, there's only one season in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So let's see how with FS 2024, if the scenery is also compatible for that later, how the different seasons will match. I would love to see that just matching and blending in perfectly, but for now it's just the one season that blends in perfectly well. And so you have some nice views of the airport when you fly over at altitude, as you can see here. So overall I think you can see how the quality is of this airport. It's really nicely done. very good textures, very good structures and 3D modeling, very accurate to real life. And I think that's really important about this scenery. I think FlyTampa has been able to do that for a very long time, and no different with this variant of this scenery for Microsoft Flight Simulator. They capture really well the feeling of Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. If it's your home airport, you will feel like each time you fly to this airport or from this airport, it's like home. And this scenery captures that feeling very well. Even better so within the surroundings of Microsoft Flight Simulator, so we can fly into this airport, whether it's raining, whether it's a beautiful day, or whether it's night. You have that feeling of coming home to Amsterdam every time you fly here, so that's really nice. Speaking of night, let's take a look at the night a little bit. As you can see, this is what it looks like, and pretty beautiful. Not much to say here. I think the night lighting is quite nice. Also on the aprons, it can be a bit dark at times, but that's quite normal. But overall the lighting is very nicely done. Especially I really love the tower, the way the tower looks here. Somehow this 8C tower gives you a very relaxed feeling to look at or something. So they really nicely modeled that with the nighttime. It looks really good. And it just perfects the way it looks. Then of course one thing that's very nice about Microsoft Flight Simulator is to be able to see it in winter time. So this is what it looks like when we add a little bit of snow slowly. As you can see, it's very nicely modeled. The snow patches build up quite accurately, with at the beginning some grass still peeking through, and then the grass being covered and the buildings being covered, and slowly also the aprons and the runways get kind of a frost layer on them, so that looks really, really good. And of course, when it's been raining or the snow has melted, you can definitely see all the water puddles and all the reflections of the water in the different areas and on the taxiways and runways, so that all looks very good as well. So yeah, I think you can see with the scenery, whether you're flying summer or winter, you have a great time. And I think especially this winter feeling, especially as we're heading to the winter right now, it's really nice to capture that feeling with the snow and the build-up and the grey skies around it. It's just really a very Amsterdam Dutch weather feeling, so it's really, really nice. Now of course this airport comes alive mostly when there's traffic. So I've added some traffic to the mix right here with FSLTL. And if you fly on VATSIM, you're gonna have a great time, I think, exploring this airport and seeing all the traffic move around. And you know, that's what Schiphol is. It's really a live airport. There's a lot of things happening, a lot of traffic during the day and during the evening and the morning. And of course with that some of the car traffic that you can see driving around the airport, also on the approaches. So yeah, overall it's really, really nice. And it's really nice to see the dynamic airport right here. One other thing about FlyTampa Amsterdam, they have included a very nice profile for GSX. If you use GSX, I highly recommend it. You get the ability to have proper pushbacks and de-icing and docking systems at the gates. So that's really nice to see. So they've included a specific profile, and I think that's really nice if a scenery developer includes a proper profile for GSX. Again, I think a lot of people who are familiar with the airport have provided proper amount of input on what pushback procedures are being used at different gates, etc. So with that profile, you'll be able to get some very accurate pushback procedures at all the different gates. Another thing that you get is the de-icing, remote de-icing. That's a new ability in GSX, and that's also been modeled in the scenery if you use GSX. So at Schiphol, when their de-icing needs to be done on the aircraft, they do that mostly on remote platforms. So for example, here on the Papa platform, you can just taxi to that platform, and then there's a little sign there that tells you to stop. Quite true to real life, I think. And there you can then request de-icing for your aircraft. So that's very nice. Again, something to look forward to using in the winter season that's ahead of us. So yeah, they put quite some effort into developing a proper GSX profile. There's a little manual with some information which says it's about 99% correct to the real thing in terms of ground operations. That's really nice. Also the docking systems are very accurate and true to life. One thing that's still missing is push-pull procedures. It's something that's used quite often at Schiphol Airport from various gates, for example at the Golf Pier or the Echo Pier. Until GSX comes with that ability to include push-pull procedures, until then they have a little workaround for some other stands, it looks like. but hopefully when that's being implemented, the profile, the GSX profile, will be changed accordingly. So you've just seen all the traffic and all the GSX stuff at work. Now this gives a perfect opportunity to talk a little bit about performance. Overall, I think the performance is really good. It's kind of what you expect for a major airport in Microsoft Flight Simulator, not that much different. I get about 30 to 40 frames per second on with some traffic around. And in the PMDG 737, for example, just taxiing around or landing or taking off, that's quite normal. I suppose if you fly on VATSIM with a lot of traffic, even more traffic, it could all get a bit lower. You can see the specs in my description. I have most settings on medium to high. It could go, maybe to 25 to 30 frames per second for me, but it's still flyable. That's what Microsoft Flight Simulator is so nice. It's even with low frame rates, it's still flyable. So, but that's expected for such a big airport. It's something that just happens. But overall, it's not like a scenery that's hogging the system down. It's not like it's very heavy on the system on its own. So that's very nice to see, and yeah, it looks like they've done some proper optimization. Also made some choices here and there, of course, by leaving some things out over performance probably. So overall, I think we can be very happy with the performance of this airport. Now there are some things that need a bit of improvement. Probably by the time you watch this video, there maybe have been some updates already. I know some of the items that I'm going to mention now are already on a fix list and might be updated in an upcoming hotfix or other update. So don't worry too much about that. It's really nitpicking. Overall, the scenery is just amazing. There's one little detail that's really annoying, is that near Taxiway Q, or the new Taxiway Q, I should say, there's a little bump in the taxiway here. As you can see, the aircraft's almost launched into the air, and it's very hard to get out, either by adding a lot of power and or using the slew mode to get the aircraft forward. So somehow this area, these bridges, do not really feel very smooth. So it all needs to be smoothened out a little bit and fixed before we can really properly use this taxiway. So that's a bit of a pity. Apparently there are some other bumps here and there as well. So this is something that should be looked at. Another little thing that's probably because FlyTampa is just used to this being called Whiskey 5. Whiskey 5 is now actually on the west side called Whiskey 13. So it's the famous crossing area where you cross runway 18 center or 36 center when it's not active. So it should be Whiskey 13 on the west side and then Whiskey 5 on the east side. So that taxiway sign needs some fixing. Another bit of an annoying thing at the moment is that the layout of the Alpha platform is not really correct to real life. It is correct according to some of the more recent satellite imagery that I compared it to. But in the meantime, there have been some changes to the Alpha platform. As you can see on this chart, aircraft are now parked nose to nose, and it's used not to be the case at this platform. So, I mean, there's a lot of changes happening here in this area of the airport. So, I don't blame FlyTampa really for this, but yeah, hopefully, especially with the opening of the Alpha pier later on, this gets some proper fixing, and the new layout is included. Then the Kilo apron, or the general aviation apron. Yeah, it's an area that's been a bit left out. I mean, the buildings are there that are supposed to be there, but as you can see, this parking lot, there are no fences or anything. There's not a lot of detail right here that it maybe deserves. So yeah, hopefully this area of the airport gets some more love. I mean, the gates, yeah, it's just a small thing, but you need to stop the protesters, the climate protesters, right, from entering the airport. So it needs a little bit more work here and there. Some other things, just tiny things for me personally. You don't really see people in the terminal, so they are see-through. You can see some interior right here, but there are not any people in the terminal, which is a bit of a shame. When you use GSX, you will actually see some people walking inside. But by default there are no people inside, so that's a bit of a shame. It would be nice to actually be able to see some livelihood right here. I mean, when you're standing at the gate, there's often some time just to look out and see the passengers that are going to be boarding your airplane. So it's really nice to look at. It just makes the airport a bit more alive. And tying with that, there are not a lot of ground vehicles driving around at the airport. Normally right here in front of you and in front of the nose of the airplane, under the terminal building, you would see quite a lot of cars and trucks and pushback trucks driving around the airport. Now, I'm sure this is maybe a performance thing, but it would be nice to be able to at least have some ground airport traffic. I tried to increase some of the settings like road traffic or whatever, or airport traffic, to get some road traffic here, but it didn't have any effect for me. I did see the odd fire truck driving right here, but that's not very realistic, so it would be nice to see some more specific Schiphol vehicles right here, and then it just brings the airport a little bit more alive here at the terminal area. And lastly, some of the Centerline lights seem to be a little bit too much offset from the Centerline. In real life they might be a little bit offset, but not that much. It looks a bit too much right now, so hopefully this can be corrected as well. But yeah, these are just very small things. I'm sure over time FlyTampa will improve. I'm already very glad that we have a proper scenery for Amsterdam right now, and I'm sure everyone will enjoy flying to and from this beautiful airport. So before we put a conclusion to this video, let's take a look at some comparison shots between real life and the airport inside the simulator. As you can see, here's a nice passenger takeoff from runway 24. And I just wanted to see the difference, or the similarity actually, between the different shots right here. And I think it just looks amazing. Again, FlyTampa just captures this Amsterdam Schiphol Airport feeling very, very well. And I think that's just beautiful to look at. Here's a nice approach in the 737 on the jump seat, giving you a bit of an idea of the night lighting that you can see in real life versus in the sim. In real life, the runways are lit up with LED lights. It can be quite bright, and you can really see it's a new lighting, and the sim kind of replicates that actually, so that's really nice to see the proper runway lighting. The area around the airport, it seems there are a bit too much lights here and there. I'm not sure if that's a FlyTampa scenery thing. I'm not sure exactly what the boundaries of the scenery itself are, or if this is just part of the Microsoft Flight Simulator base scenery, but it's just a bit too much. I'm not sure if FlyTampa can do anything about this, but yeah, in general, as you can see, just the general feeling again of approaching this airport at night, it's just really, really beautiful. And here we're vacating the runway, and you can see what it all looks like, and just beautiful, I think. And one more landing right here in a bit more gloomy setting. Very nice overcast clouds, and at the end of the day you can just really see the different atmospheres that you can arrive into Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. It all looks very, very good. So there you go, a little bit of a review of this airport. I hope you enjoyed a little tour, and that you have been able to get a bit of an idea of what it all looks like, and so you can form your own opinion on whether to buy the scenery or not. And I hope I can have been able to give you some insights in the airport if you're a bit unfamiliar with it. It's lovely to visit in real life and also in the sim, and luckily we can do that right now with this scenery. It's available on the FlyTampa website and also soon on Orbex and Sim Market, etc. So you can buy it right there for about $26. That's what I paid for it. And yeah, that's it for now. So thank you for watching this video. Make sure to check out the memberships here on the AviationPro channel. It's kind of new. I would love to invite you over to the membership area, where I do a bit more VATSIM full flights and live full flights and other stuff about my real world flying, so you can check it out with an associated Discord server. So make sure you click the join button. I would love to welcome you into the memberships area of AviationPro channel. As for the channel itself, there will be an update video soon, a little bit about the future of the channel, so stay tuned for that. For now, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time, and I'm wishing you some nice flights in and out of Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. Cheers.